Hello, my friends, esteemed colleagues, relatives. I was almost done recording this video about appendix when I mentioned Zoom-Zula in the correct way, and then I knew this video is gonna be crap, so I have to re-record. Now, this is about appendicitis. Appendicitis is inflamed appendix. Appendix is a little protrusion or extension of intestine, on large intestine, right where the small intestine turns into large intestine. The purpose of it, we don't know, because we can live the same with it or without it. And although some point of, okay, you get less chance, maybe you get less chance of having diverculitis or diverculitis if appendix is removed. Well, this is he says, she says. There's absolutely nothing to go by to do this claim other than statistics, and statistics depend on variety of things and not on presence or not present of appendix. The only thing that we know that appendix often has, always has gut bacteria in it, because it communicates with intestine. So of course it will have, if you have gut bacteria, you will have them also in appendix. So this is now since it is part of the intestine, it is going to have same bacteria that you have in the intestine. So now they say, no, well, most likely it has a reserve there. So in a case, antibiotic or whatever kills or damages the gut flora in your intestine, now from appendix, new bacteria will come out to repopulate faster. Well, the body was not created in anticipation of poisoning with antibiotic, diminishing the flora, so the new flora has to come in. This is a nonsense, a scientific nonsense. Only scientists can come up with. But it may be that gut bacteria could be produced there depending on a stimuli, which is caused by the type of a food that you eat and cannot digest. So the body has to create microflora to help with the digestive process, and maybe appendix has something to do with it, which again, I don't think is the case, because you will be producing the flora of your gut, having or not having appendix. So we still don't know the purpose of it. But this is not about the purpose of appendix. This is about appendicitis, which is inflammation of appendix. Because this is when we become aware that we have the damn thing, because it hurts like hell. And it can burst, and if it bursts, then you have a direct conduit of fecal matter going into your abdominal cavity, which would be lethal, since this is very toxic for our body. But now, is it really lethal? Well, from my experience, it is not, if we are in a ketogenic state, if our body works correctly. Because as we know, when we are in ketogenic state, we produce GC-MAT with labels toxin, labels protein, foreign protein, and this way your immune system, your macrophage, your white blood cells can dispose of it. Your garbage system can take care of it. Well, to back this story up with what has happened to my friend, he was eating predominantly meat. I don't know if he was strict carnivore, but he started drinking also plasma and turned more into carnivore. And maybe a few months later, he got appendicitis. Now, what causes this appendicitis? Surgeons found out that in most cases, there is some hardened fecal matter that is blocking the passage. So then you don't have a proper circulation. You may have a rotting happening in the side of appendix, causing inflammation and problem. Appendix can also burst if it's inflamed, and this is then higher problem, and that happens, there is a fever, because this is, you are going into sepsis. It is dangerous part, and you can die from it. But what happened to my friend is that he called me late at night, if I can come maybe and take him to doctor. So I said, what happened? Oh, that he had a problem for several days with pain in his stomach, and tonight is really, really bad. So I asked him a few questions, because going to him, not that it would be only an hour and a half time going there and then getting his car, getting him out of there, and then going back, getting my bike and going, that's my whole night. But problem is that where he lives, it is at least 20 minutes of extremely, extremely bad road. Steep downhill, crevice, it's a dirt road, water runs through, you have a big ditches with a lot of loose rock around it, and nowhere to go around because you have then trees everywhere. It's problematic during the daytime. My wife doesn't want to be behind me on the bike when we go there. She rather walks, and it's quite a bit of walk, and I take a bike by myself. So I rather ask if I can help. And he said that he had low fever already for a couple of days. So from everything he explained, I said, look, to me it looks like you have appendicitis. I'm surprised that you don't have high fever, but it means that it's most likely just inflammation. So please try yourself, go to doctor because for me to go there would be, if you can't, I'll do it. So I didn't hear from him after that, and next morning he called me and told me what happened. And the same as I was confused, same was his doctor confused, because what he described was a problem with appendix, maybe even burst appendix, but fever was low, it was not high fever. So they had to do exploratory surgery. And yes, it was appendix that burst, and not only that it burst, but it was not fresh stuff. It was already a couple days old, and it was encapsulating already the fecal matter that went out from appendix. So healing process already started. Now, this is what body always does. within the cells, if you have a garbage that you are not eliminating because your cell is dehydrated and does not want to waste plasma to take out the waste, it is going to form a protein bags and bag it. Now doctors call it zumzulas. Well, you can call it whatever you want, but it's not that type of zumzula as we are being schooled on in a school. It is zumzula that old Greeks called. It's just toxic cellular discharge. Well, body bags it up, so it doesn't do harm within the cell until it has chance to take it out. Now, I said also that if voltage of a cell drops, then cell is going to make a division in the middle of the cell, also made from protein, and putting all these garbage bags, all the zumzulas on one side, and this side, then we say, okay, it's proliferation, and now we have a new cell. No, we don't have a new cell. It's the same old cell, just a little bit cleaner. And the garbage is supposed to be labeled and then taken apart. But if you don't have GCMF labeling because you are glucoholic, this doesn't happen, and tumor starts to grow. In a case of appendix, well, the body was already resolving the process. He was less toxic than majority people are. Body was performing a little better, and it created a bag from protein, which then was separating the stuff that was coming out of the intestine, separating from the stomach cavity, keeping it in check. So if he would not have the surgery done and he could tolerate the pain for another few days, he would heal, appendix would heal, inflammation would disappear, and he would have remaining a growth there. Garbage bag full of toxic garbage that will have to be dealt with, and how the body is going to deal with it in the future, well, we don't really know because we don't have example of this. But most likely, as long as it can keep it back there, it does not present any problem. It would be like a cyst. But in this case, in his case, when doctor opened him up, noticed that what happened, now surgically he removed both. He removed this capsule, he removed the appendix, stitched him up, and I visited him the other day, and he was complaining on a bed. It was horrible. He could not sleep. He could not lay on it. So I went and I bought him a mattress, so he can be more comfortable. And day later, when I came to see him, he was already no pain, so he was feeling good, and he had this infusions going on, antibiotics still dripping in. So he says, Darko, do I need that stuff? I said, you don't. He said, well, can I pull it out? I said, yeah. And he just ripped it out. And then he says, I'm so hungry. And I said, well, you should not be eating until your intestines start moving. And he says, yeah, but I haven't been eating for a week before because I was in pain. So it was already 1 week old stuff. And I'm just starving. I said, well, you can eat, but you can eat only something that your body can digest fully and easily without problem, which is raw meat. So he said, well, can you get me some? So my wife went to the store, got some meat, minced meat, put a little bit sea salt in it, and brought it to him. And he said, how much can I eat? I said, well, don't go too much. So I gave him maybe 100 grams. I said, this is just to satisfy you a little bit. And this should actually make your intestines start moving faster than if you would wait now for intestines, because you will be cleansing, so you will be creating gas, and the buildup of a gas is going to force the peristaltic movement to start, your intestine to start to move. But this also becomes very painful because gas creates pain when it's in the intestine, the pressure. And after he ate this, and the patient next to him, he was amazed, like, he's eating, he was just operated. Well, of course, doctors was uncomfortable with him pulling out the antibiotics. And of course he doesn't eat any of that crap. And then when he heard about the food, he was like, oh, what's going to happen? Well, nothing happened. Actually, within a couple hours after he ate, his intestines started moving. There was no gas buildup, so there was no discomfort. And the next day, my wife brought him half a kilo of tartar steak. That also contained a little bit of capers for better taste. And he munched it up, no problem. Everything was working well. That the third day he was released from hospital. And fourth day he was already in the gym. He said, can I lift weights? I said, oh, be careful, because you don't want too much pressure on the stomach, although this doesn't create pressure on intestines to rip it up, but he had a surgery, he had stitches, so I don't want him to rip stitches. So I said, look, I know he's crazy, he's not going to listen anyway, so just be careful with it, don't put too much pressure, you don't want to tighten the muscles too much, because, and of course he broke 2 stitches, so we put tape on it. And within a week he was running around like crazy, no problem. So everything we are being told as doctors when we are studying medicine is basically lie. It's we base everything on faulty samples. We think that this is how normally people behave and how people function, but we are disregarding the fact that we are dealing always with sick people. If you are in glucoholic state, you are sick. You are in a sick state. This is not your natural state. You should be in ketogenic state. And if you are in ketogenic state, you are producing GCMF, your body is going to perform differently, your hormonal levels are going to be different, your cholesterol levels and triglyceride level are going to be different, your level of blood sugar in your blood will be different, the insulin will not be present in your blood. I mean, a huge, huge, huge difference. But we are talking about glucoholic people because we all are glucoholic. Very few are not glucoholic. Even I'm glucoholic because I was experimenting, so I was munching on a chocolate. Chocolate always had some sweetener in it, even though mostly it was sugarcane syrup or honey, but still. And then when I am already eating like this, I would have peanuts here and there, I would have little Well, peanuts actually I had to avoid because they were starting to give me a problem. But walnuts, pistachio occasionally was better. Peanut is the worst because peanut is not nut, it's a legume. So it's way more toxic than a nut. Has a higher level of glucose in it as well. Anyway, so this shows you that appendix will be problematic if it's inflamed. It will most likely be inflamed, or you get in the danger of having problem with the appendix if you have digestive problems. Now, he did not have digestive problems, but what he did just before this happened, he was also producing coconut oil, and he spilled some on the floor, and he scooped it from the floor and drank it. And he walks everywhere with the shoes. He goes in, he walks around. Now he sweeps it and eats it. Well, not very smart, but he thought he is bulletproof, which proved not to be the case, because he first vomited, which means there was something very toxic that he ate, that he had on the floor, and this went in the gut also, and most likely triggered this inflammation of appendix, because right after that the nausea continued. So after he drank this, he felt bad, he started vomiting, and then later on this procrastinated and dragged and increased in inflammation of a gut. When you have inflamed the gut, the water absorption is not so good, so you get diarrhea. But the appendicitis occurred as well. Inflammation of a gut spread to appendix. How we can prevent appendicitis? Well, eat correctly and don't be stupid. And hydrate. I never had it, my appendix, although very often I would worry when I did single-handed navigation, long distance, being far offshore. I wondered, what happens if I have problem with appendix? Can get to hospital? I would hate to cut myself and do the surgery floating. So it was sometimes on the back of my mind, which is terrible because this is how you can manifest it. Of course, I'm no longer afraid of any of that stuff. We should be careful what we eat. And we should eat contrary to what everybody knows we should eat. Okay, so what everybody knows, it's always garbage. Because we are misled and we try to make sense of nonsense. It's impossible. 2 bad ones doesn't make good one. And 10 and 20 bad ones still doesn't make good one, although you start believing that it is good. You repeat lies enough times and they become truths. This is why all the school books of medicine are claimed to be truthful, where there is absolutely no truth in them. So, when you eat correctly and you hydrate, most likely you are not going to have any problem with appendix. Now, appendix usually is on the right side, down by the belly button, maybe a little bit lower. Oh, we just lost electricity again. Common here in the jungle area. So if you eat correctly, you hydrate correctly, you're not going to have problem. When you're glucoholic, the more problem you have with your gut, the more likely you are going to end up with appendicitis or appendicitis. Is it good to remove it? It all depends. If you don't have problem with it, you don't let yourself being cut to remove it. You are injuring yourself. Now, if you already have surgery done in the stomach, let's say a woman has cesarean section, well, should doctor at the same time, okay, appendix is right here, so I can just chop it off to make more money? Should you do it? Definitely not, because you're just creating additional injury. Everything is about vibration and flow of energy. You are creating scar tissues. You are creating energetic blockages. You should never do unnecessary harm to the body. You should only address it if there is a problem with it. And again, if you have appendicitis, if you have the pain on the right hand side by the belly and it gets hard, well, first try just drink a lot of plasma. So this way you create diarrhea, you soft stool, maybe you flush it out and everything goes well. Now if you develop fever, well, then you better go and have a doctor check you up. Most likely he will open you up and take it out. Because when appendix bursts, you get to sepsis. Now, the body is going to control this sepsis and try to bag it up and separate it. But more toxic you are, the worse digestive problems you have, the more general inflammation you have, not only in the body but in the gut itself, the more difficult it is for body to heal. So, it is not going to create any problem not having appendix already, so just have it removed. Now the trick is, after removal of appendix, how long do you have to be on antibiotics? Well, my friend was healing already by itself. So when appendix was removed, well, why to bother poisoning the body more? Makes no sense. This is why I told him he can remove it. But if he had a fresh appendicitis, appendix removed, and doctor had to clean the area, well, they put antibiotic because antibiotic closes down the cell so they don't absorb the stuff. Well, it basically stops the inflammation process, stops the body's reaction to it. Doctor cleaned it anyway. So just keeping the body closed until the regular cleansing is extended for a few more days, usually 7 days. It's a good idea. Though I would much prefer just spray with colloidal silver and that's it. It will just kill the bacteria, and any other toxin that is there is going to be flushed out through normal maintenance of the body. This is what happens when you're under antibiotic. You are not killing anything. You are just preventing it to be soaked into the cell. Well, this way you are sterilizing stuff with colloidal silver, improving electroconductivity speeding up healing process. But doctors know nothing about colloidal silver, not because it is not functional and it would not be beneficial, but because every Joe Schmo like me can make it in a house for peanuts. Doesn't cost you anything. So pharma cannot really profit on it. And pharma doesn't want to push it, not to put attention to it. I had no clue about colloidal silver until I had my first clients being affected by abscesses in their mouth when they start protocol, when they start producing GC-meth, and GC-meth start labeling the garbage and the bacterial accumulation, then body starts enveloping it in protective bags, causing abscesses. Those are the abscesses. And I didn't know how to deal with it, because if I give antibiotic to prevent them, then I'm stopping the hydration on cellular level, I'm stopping the cleansing process. So I was, clueless in what to do. And then by research, I heard about colloidal silver. It was the alternative medicine stuff. And when I start implementing colloidal silver, I start preventing abscesses from occurring during this first month of healing or cleansing of the body through protocol. Now, doctors don't hear about it because, again, if it becomes more available, this information, to the public, then public will figure out how to make it. It's not a brainer, it's electrolysis. You take a pure silver rod, connect it to low voltage electrical current, preferably low amperage as well, put it in distilled water and put anode there as well, could be copper or another silver stick, and electrolytically you start making colloidal silver. Not a big deal. So, and this would replace a lot of antibiotics, and this would be very bad for pharmaceutical industry, because they would not be able to sell so many harmful antibiotics that help them to make people sicker so they can sell more. That's process. So here we are. If you have the information, if you're in pain, well, first try. Clean yourself. Drink, start eating correctly, or go fast. Fast for a few days and just drink a lot of plasma. Try to resolve if there was some obstruction. Try to dissolve it and flush it out. Well, if this doesn't happen, if the pain increases and you break in high fever, well, immediately doctor, and you will go under knife, and appendix will be removed. Do you have to use antibiotic? Yeah, you're on the doctor's care, so you have to do what doctor says. When can you start eating? Well, don't eat garbage as long as possible, because when you eat carbohydrate, it creates gas. So it will increase your pain. And definitely doctor will not allow you until the intestines start moving. If intestine is not stimulating to move, if the gas didn't produce enough, or there is nothing to digest, so intestine is dormant. And you may be waiting after surgery 2 days, 3 days, a week. It can be quite a long time. Well, now you know if you take a little bit of raw meat and eat it, you don't have to take a big piece, a little bit, like a little bowl, like a little meatball of raw meat with a little salt, sea salt in it. Any salt will do. Even without the salt, just pop it in and swallow it. And this is self-digestible. So your acids and stomach acid is going to break it down, and amino acids and fatty acids, they will be absorbed, but there will be remnants that has to be removed. It will not create gas, so pain is not going to increase, but your intestine will start moving. Of course, doctor will not allow you to do this, so you have to have your friend or family member to bring you a little bit, sneak you in a little bit of raw meat and just eat it. You will see. It speeds up. Within a couple hours, your intestine will start wiggling, and then you will be allowed to eat. There is nothing much that can be added to this. So don't go for surgery and removing your appendix because you are in a fear of getting appendicitis. Don't remove it because you already have a procedure done, so why not cut this off as a sidekick? Not a good idea. Less you disturb your body, less you cut it, the better off you are. And is absence of appendix going to help your gut experiencing less problems? Not at all. These are all statistic-based statements that bear no truth whatsoever. So this is as much as has to be told about appendicitis. And also, appendix does not necessarily have to be on the right side. It can be also on the left side. Okay, and also you may not have it, and it be some completely different procedure. It could be just air trapped in colon, which often happens, and causing pain because of pressure. So don't get crazy about fear. Oh, right side next to the belly button, I feel a little pain. Maybe. No, don't worry about this stuff. Okay, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And until next time. God bless us all, and namaste.